E, air is faster. The air is faster because the soft palate is being lowered and creates a smaller chamber. Smaller chamber equals less air, but more air speed. If I say ooh, it raises the soft palate, creates a larger chamber. A larger chamber equals more air, but slower air. Okay, it's like the difference between a bike tire and a car tire. Bike tire might have more pressure, but a car tire obviously has more air in it. If I take the valve, the stem out of a car tire, it's going to sound like whoosh. If I take it out of a bike tire, it's going to sound like tss. And there you go. There's your pitch.
Yeah.
That's lower. Tss, that's higher. So we know that faster air is required to make higher notes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how that works. So how am I going to manipulate that with my vocal cords? Well, it's with your speaking voice. If my speaking voice is set up like this, and I finger these notes up here, I'll never get that note to come out. But as soon as I have my voice set up this, okay, those notes can come out. And so by manipulating your vocal cords, and in my vocal cords what's happening is as I sing a low note, then it's like this. When I sing high notes, it's doing this. And because there's less space in there, right, there's more air pressure, right, faster air. And when it's like this, there's more volume of air, but the air is moving slower. Okay? And so that's how you can manipulate that. If you tighten your chops up, the reason that seems to have that same effect is because you're creating more airspeed because it's clamping the reed down.
Yeah, which probably isn't as effective.
It's not as effective. It's not as effective besides the fact that it's going to wear your chops out. You playing a bunch of altissimo stuff for a while, and then it's going to be like, all right, I don't need to do that anymore. You have holes in your face, trying to bite through your lip to get it to happen. All right. Now, a little more pressure is okay. Right here, a little more pressure is okay. But ultimately, you want to try to be able to do it completely with your vocal cords and with the soft palate in your mouth. Now, this is also a good thing to think about as far as developing your tone. Okay, do you want more of an E kind of sound or more of an OO kind of sound or something in between? It gives you some different things to experiment with. If you hear a player that has a really bright tone, that's because their tone is focused high up on the harmonic series. You listen to a person that has almost a really dull tone, and voo, 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 that kind of almost a really dull tone, not very many high partial, it's focused down here. All right? Your tone and my tone tend to be focused somewhere in the middle or middle towards the top, where you can still hear all the low partials, but where the sound cuts through. Okay? You need to have some edge on it to cut through. You have to have some of those higher partials. If you cut those higher partials off, it's going to sound like you put a rag over the horn. Right? So most modern players have a tone that's either in the middle or it's the middle high side. R&B players, people like David Sanborn, Eric Marienthal, those kind of players, their stuff is way up here. Michael Brecker's sound tended to be higher up, not all the way to the top. His still had some bottom in it too, but most R&B players, like I said, like Eric Marienthal, David Sanborn, Dave Koz, all of those kind of players, their sound is focused way up here because they really want it to cut through. Yeah. Okay? Now, I don't like a tone all focused up there because I want people to hear other things in the sound. Yeah. I want to be able to do other things in the sound. Now, you can take your current setup. You can make your current setup sound like anything you want to. All it has to do with what's in your ear. The most permanent way to change your sound is not by changing your equipment. Because as soon as you change your equipment, what happens is it'll sound different for a while, but the sound that's in your ear, your own personal sound, is going to start coming out of that instrument before long, because you'll be making subconscious changes until that happens. The most permanent way to change your sound is by changing who you listen to. because when you get that sound in your ear, that starts to change your concept of sound. And so no matter what your mouthpiece setup is, all of a sudden you're going to start sounding that way.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, now my concept of sound has changed over time, and that's why I sound different. It's not because I play a different mouthpiece. It's not because I'm playing, you know, Gary Segal's mouthpiece that I sound the way that I do. It's because the sound in my head is coming out of this. Now, I like this mouthpiece a lot, and a good reason to change pieces would be, there's a couple good reasons. One, say if your current mouthpiece just does not allow you to cut through it all. Say if I'm playing on like a C star, a summer C star or something, then I mean, I'm playing the jazz. So then, you know, there might be a good reason to change that, because if I push that mouthpiece, I can never be the lead saxophone player in a section because it won't cut through. I can't play any volume. All right, so that would be a good reason. Another good reason to change mouthpieces might be that when you push the mouthpiece, it washes out. Okay, and it's hard to get a focused sound. That might be a good reason to change mouthpiece. Another good reason to change a mouthpiece might be intonation. Say, for instance, the mouthpiece sounds great, but it's out of tune, really bad out of tune in certain ranges on the horn. Okay, that might be a good reason to change mouthpieces. But changing a mouthpiece simply because you want to sound different is about the worst reason to change your mouthpiece, because that sound in your head is going to come back out of that horn, you know, sooner or later. Okay, so anyhow, just some things about tone and some of the things that can affect your tone in different ways that you can manipulate your sound by using those little components. You really master those little components that we're talking about, things like long tones, harmonic series, drills, things like understanding what a mouthpiece really, the effect that a mouthpiece really has on your sound. Soft palate in your mouth. You know, how if you say E, it's going to make the sound a little more bright. If you say ooh, it's going to make it a little more round, a little darker. I mean, there's all kinds of things just with your anatomy that you can do to change. And if I played your mouthpiece, I wouldn't sound like you. If you played my mouthpiece, you wouldn't sound like me. It's because our anatomy is so different. My lungs are different. My diaphragm is different. The air capacity that I have in my lungs is different than you. My lips are shaped different than yours. My teeth are shaped different. My tongue is shaped different than yours. Everything is different. The capacity that I have in my vocal cords are constructed differently. You ever heard what is it? Lenny Pickett. Is it Lenny Pickett? The guy from Saturday Night Live.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. That guy can sing that high, and people don't realize this. But one of the main reasons why he can play those altissimo notes way up there, and it's just screaming high, and it's almost like it's not even fingerings. It's just like he's whistling. The reason he can do that is because he can sing like that. So his vocal cords, he's mastered the ability to use his vocal cords in that range to really make his instrument do whatever he wants. And of course, I can't sing like that.
Is it like however high you can sing is how high notes you can get? Is there like a...
Yeah, there's more of a ratio.
Yeah, that's what I...
It's more of a ratio than like direct the pitches, because I can play a lot higher than I can sing.
Yeah.
But then again, I also know how to manipulate certain things to make those notes come out with the harmonic series. Pickett, he just has crazy high chops, and he can sing high. So he's just kind of a freak. That cat is kind of a freak. You know, most saxophone players don't have that kind of range. But you know, definitely his vocal cords. But the point is that if I played on his setup, I wouldn't sound like him. Yeah. You know, and you wouldn't sound like him either. Oh, let me get Pickett's mouthpiece so I can play altissimo. Nope. You play on that and be like, oh man, this is terrible. I can't get nothing to come out. It's because it doesn't have anything to do with the mouthpiece. You know, he could probably play on your mouthpiece and sound like that. You know, that's just what it is.